Sag. Welcome to 8 of Cups Tarot and welcome to your cards for June. So, June's a big month. I don't know if you guys are feeling it, but there's a lot going on in the planets. We now have, in the month of June, 6 planets retrograde. Pluto and Jupiter are retrograde in Capricorn in your second house of your money. Also talks about your self-esteem, your value, your investments, the things that you own. It could reflect your job, your income, your money, your finances. We also have Saturn retrograding. He's actually moving from your third house, Aquarius, where he just spent the last few months, and he's going to retrograde back into his second house. Now he's going to retrograde right back to the point of the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, which occurred in January. However, we began to see the real effects of what that conjunction was in March. If you follow the timeline of mundane astrology, the conjunction happened in January, but the effects came out in March. If you're looking at, tracking the COVID virus and some of the other big stories in the news, this is kind of the timeline. So if you look back to what you were dealing with in March, we're going to revisit that. We're going to revisit those issues, and when everything is retrograde, we're kind of reframing or rewriting the stories. Now, we also have eclipses in your sign as well as your opposing sign, Gemini. So your first and seventh house are getting hit, as well as a Mercury retrograde in your 8th house in Cancer. Wow, that's a mouthful, and that's a lot. And your 2nd and 8th house usually involve other people. 7th house as well. So I have to say you're probably in a mode of introspection for the month of June. And I like that for you. Now let's get into these cards. Your energy for the month of June is that of the King of Wands. Now, this is a fitting energy for you, and I think it reflects a lot of wisdom. I'm picking up on a lot of the King and Queen cards coming out this month in all of my readings, kind of as a area of our life in which we're reaching a part of mastery. Now, the King of Wands is courageous, but he's not stupid. I think that a King of Wands in a mode of reflection is ready to take accountability, ready to review his past, make adjustments in order to secure his future. The King of Wands always operates from his heart space. That's why there's so much courage. But he's coming out next to the Hermit card, the card of Virgo. Now, this could represent the fact that you're dealing with a very prominent Virgo in your life, but I sense that this is what the universe is asking you to do. Now, I like the way that this comes out, because when I laid it out, my first thought was support. You're being guided. You're being shown the light. And I think there's a lot of support coming from other realms for you this month. So you may get a lot of inspiration. King of Wands is always open to inspiration. And these things might come just through memories, through the dream state, through meditation. You're going within in the month of June, and you're seeing things in a new light. And the Hermit is wisdom. So the King of Wands, a card of mastery next to the Hermit, means that you've been through some stuff, that your path may not have been easy. In fact, the Hermit coming out behind the King of Wands indicates to me that you have had to move through a little bit of darkness for quite some time. Now, Jupiter being retrograde in Capricorn in your second house can be somewhat of a challenging transit, meaning that usually you, being ruled by Jupiter, are always operating from a sense of optimism and higher perspective. Sages, unless you're a toxic Sag, for the most part, operate from a higher realm at all times. They operate from the heart, and there is a lot of spiritual wisdom. They are the sign of philosophy of expansion. And I think over the past several years, probably 2.5, because you have to remember, we're closing out the cycle of the nodes that were in the Cancer Capricorn axis of your 2nd and 8th house, and we're moving into the 3rd and 9th house axis, which is your beliefs. And we're working on that now. But I think in the retrograde cycle and the eclipse that's building up in mid-July at 0 degrees Cancer is when all of what you've been dealing with, all that you've been learning for the past 18 months, reaches a point of culmination. It reaches a point where you can understand it and process this from a higher perspective. Again, using your best resources, your Sag minds and your Sag hearts to understand situations better. Your astrology card you pulled was Mercury Retrograde. As I just said, we are experiencing a retrograde Mercury in Cancer, which is in your 8th house. So what happens when Mercury is retrograde? We revisit the past. And the 8th house is your relationship with others, but it is your trust issues. It is where you are able to open up and be vulnerable with others. It could also represent a spouse's finances. Maybe you're going through a period, or a partner of yours is going through a period of ups and downs in their finances, which is surely having an effect on your life. So here is an opportunity to revisit some of these themes, and you get a chance to, if not redo them, revise the plans, revise the budgets, revise your plan to get out of debt, or you may be looking at intimate, close relationships and how you've processed the situations in the past. Now, I keep bringing up the past because of the retrogrades, but also because your first card out is the 6 of Cups. This does represent our past. It's a state of being when we weren't so weighed down. It's a childlike state. So this is not an energy of worrying about the bills and the responsibilities, worrying about the realities in life. This is not where we focus on how relationships fail. This is where we have kind of a blind faith and optimism. So I think this month, right off the bat, you're going to start reviewing some of these feelings from the past. You might be feeling a lot of nostalgia, missing even things from your childhood. Maybe you're missing home. Maybe you're missing your parents or your siblings, maybe because of the travel restrictions. You know, you can't see people and you can't visit people. And coming out next to the Eight of Cups, Six of Cups, Eight of Cups, this is a real emotional state. So Sag, there's no doubt that you're going to be really deeply in emotions this month, as I believe all of us will. Collectively, we're going to feel things a lot more. Mercury in Cancer will make us think about things at a very emotional level. It will also make it easier to absorb the energy of others and understand the energy of others. Cancers can and do operate from two different places. So a Cancer can be extremely nurturing outwardly. The need to take care of the people that you love and protect them. But a negative kind of depiction of the Cancer energy is that of being protective of yourself. Cancers don't operate well being vulnerable if there are issues within their relationships. If they cannot talk about their feelings and communicate them, issues will grow, and Cancers will either hold on to something for dear life or walk away in order to protect themselves. Cancers tend to stay in rough situations out of responsibility or fear. It's that emotional turmoil, but they were built for that energy. And so there's a very particular reason why you're sinking into this energy of really deep emotional reflection. And to me, I'm going to skip around a little bit to kind of explain the story clearer. There's a lot of reflection on relationships. Now, this could just be an overall reflection of your relationships thus far in your life, and maybe the loss of a significant one. Trying to understand why something didn't go wrong. If there was a breakup or a delay, well, I think the point of all of this is to gain clarity, is to come out of this state of confusion. If there was a lack of communication or a lack of compassion between you and your partner, this is a consequence. If you were not clear in your intentions, if you were not let's just say if you were in a place where you did not feel special, or if you were in a relationship with someone who did not feel as though you were valuing them, this is the consequences. And this is something that you have to look at, because this could be a repeated pattern. And remember, we're in hermit mode, so we're learning. You may be looking at a particular relationship, or like I said, just relationships as a whole, reflecting upon them and trying to understand why things failed, why things worked, and really getting a grasp of what you want in your life, what you're willing to accept. There's a lot of clarity here, but this is something that you've left behind, that you've walked away from. If this is a relationship or a family member, you walked away, and you walked away because you knew there was a higher passion, a higher purpose, that this was not serving you. And when I see an 8 of Cups, it means that you were divinely guided to walk away from this, or someone was divinely guided to walk away from you. Again, just a reminder that energy is fluid. So whether you're the leaving believer or the person that was left, you know, there's just an essence of there being a spiritual purpose behind this. The Eight of Cups is when we choose to turn our backs and walk away from something because we know there is something greater out there, something that calls to our soul, a greater purpose, a higher perspective. There's more to learn. Eight of Cups is my journey card. And you have walked away from a state of innocence, of nostalgia, kind of a fantasy land where you think that relationships are beautiful and wonderful, but you walked away from that on a journey to learn something else from it, to gain new passion and knowledge, new excitement. And the Eight of Cups, sitting above the Seven of Cups in reverse, simply tells me that if you were in a state of flux in a relationship where you didn't know where you stood, you didn't know if you were being valued, that coming out of that confusion and walking away from it was a new opportunity. I have the feeling that you've been through a situation in the past, Sag, in which somebody juggled you, in which you were not valued. I'm sorry, I have a helicopter kind of circling over the back of my house, and I wanted to enjoy the windows and the birds singing, so let me just take a second to let this pass so I know that you guys could hear me clearly. Oh my gosh, and it's moving so slow. Okay, I'm going to try to go on and I'll try to speak up a little louder. I truly apologize if this comes out where you can't even hear anything in the background and I'm just screaming like some sort of a crazy person. But yeah, there was a moment of realization within this connection where somebody didn't treat you with respect, with admiration. You didn't feel like you were cherished. You know, whether this person was extremely involved in their work or distracted by outside things, whether they made everything but you a priority in their life. Well, I think Neptune, meeting up with Mars in your fourth house, which I didn't even bring up, this could bring a lot of reflection and surrender as well, where we have to realize that sometimes relationships aren't meant to last forever, that people are just simply teachers in our lives, and that certain relationships will point out certain aspects of you that needs to be corrected. Because I really am in love with this last row, this final message of what June brings you, which is clarity and its answers. And its answers regarding who you are in relationships and what you deserve. The Magician in reverse. This is a card of manipulation. And he comes out underneath this Two of Cups in reverse and the Six of Cups. So there's a realization that you may have put somebody on a pedestal and really viewed them like your end-all, be-all, twin flame, soulmate, when in fact this person was a teacher. To get you to stand up for yourself, to get you to see what you needed to see. The Magician in reverse manipulates situations. They use people, they take their energy, if nothing else. If this was a partner that just simply relied on you to fill them without giving back, well, you simply couldn't sustain that any longer. and the Six of Pentacles in reverse. Things were not equal in this relationship. One gave way more than the other. And I think for a long time you got lost in the Six of Cups energy, where you could sort of make excuses for other people. I know it's just how they are, but I promise they really do love me. And you just make excuse after excuse. And you don't honor who you truly are. You don't take the opportunity to say, hey, babe, this doesn't feel good. I don't like how I feel in these situations. I need you to make me a priority. And even if you did do that, it seems as though the other person did not care. And you were forced to walk away from this because a relationship cannot be sustained on manipulation and lies and patterns of taking without giving. You know, you may have been the giver in this situation. You may have brought your A game. You may have really poured yourself into something. And the other person sort of operated in a bare minimum mentality. They didn't cherish you. They didn't honor you. They didn't tell you that they loved you. It was always about other people. You may have felt like they weren't devoted. That's the message, that right now you may be feeling guilty for leaving, the sadness and the reflection of something ending. But you need to be in the King of Wands energy, the Ace of Wands. This was simply a lesson that you needed to learn so that you could attract people that value you the way that you deserve. The universe is testing you now to find out what you're willing to accept, because once you get out of the energy of accepting breadcrumbs, this is always my breadcrumbs card. You know, you may be planning a future with somebody, and yet that person has not even fully committed to plans for the following weekend. And what happens when you stay in situations like that is that you let the universe know that you don't need to be loved. And you want to dig deeper into that and ask why. Why do these situations happen to me? Why does no one value me when I value them and they're feeling so much? And the answer is, you're choosing the wrong people. You're attracting the wrong people. You may want to save people or honor people. You may be attracting, if you are empathic in any way, shape, or form. Because I don't see this as you being low vibrational and therefore attracting people that are low vibration. I don't see that at all. The Six of Cups always tells me that there's an empathic nature at play, that you meet people because they need healing, and as you provide that healing, be it in a form of psychological healing, emotional healing, you tend to have patterns in which you attract people with real childhood trauma. And then you make it your priority to help and understand them better. It's because of your empathic nature. But the truth, the duality, Gemini season, is that being an empath, you have to know that you love in a way that others are not capable of. And therefore you get a lot of low vibrational people that come to you to feed off that energy. It's not even that they want to be healed. It's just that they want your energy and love, and they use it. They use it to fill themselves up, but they give nothing back because they're not doing their own healing. They're relying on others to feel sorry for them without taking action in their life. And Sag, that's where you can't settle. Because you are a King of Wands. Because you see your future and you know what you want to build. And you can't settle for this type of energy, and you can't feel guilty about walking away from it. This is like a giant graduation into, yeah, I know it was hard. I know that there was some tough lessons. I know there was a lot of tears and a lot of sorrow and a lot of loss, but the universe is clearing a path and it's lighting the way so that you can find something that does honor you, that has as much passion for you as you for them. In a relationship where there is reciprocity, where someone's willing to give as much as you. You're stepping into a new element. You're stepping into a new version of you, and this version requires somebody that can meet them at this level. So you could spend a little bit of time in June feeling all of the feels, reflecting on this, you know, really a place of where you pray and hope that things could get better. You may be praying and hoping for someone else, but the universe wants you to pour that energy back into you. Right now, you need to be your own empath and your own savior. And the Hermit card means that you might have to be alone for a little while, but that's okay. That's okay, and it's not a forever state. This is just a time in which we gain wisdom and knowledge, and we light our new path. The animal spirit cards are a large reflection of this story as well. Starting off the month, you come in as the energy of the bee. Well, what does the bee do? The bee is busy. He's busy doing all of the work. Doing all of the work, all of the heavy lifting in a relationship. And he finds it as a distraction, because sometimes when we're really busy trying to heal other people, it's because we're avoiding healing ourselves. When we're worried about disappointing other people, we become distracted and therefore disappoint ourselves. But by the end of June, you step into this. You become the cobra. This is a new opportunity. This is something, like I said, you've graduated, you've grown. The cobra is demanding of respect, and the cobra also represents a very Sagittarius energy of the lessons, and that you're ready to learn a new lesson. You're ready for new teachers that represent who you are now. That once you realize all of this and you heal it and you recognize maybe some of the warning signs of what this is, you start to see it earlier, and you no longer get emotionally involved in things that aren't right for you. Instead of getting into a relationship and putting your all into it, it's easier for you to see these warning signs in the first couple of dates and say, no, you know what, I'm not going down this road again. And you just quickly bring it to an end, and the universe recognizes that you've stepped up, that you want more, and the universe always gives you what you ask for. And so the cobra brings in new teachers, more valuable lessons, not so scary, new opportunities and new insights, and it's exciting. Your oracle card for the month. Meditation is the highest state. It is the return to the root of your being, the simple awareness of being aware. Right? So in this quiet period, you become aware. You become aware of a lot of things. A lot of things that maybe you could have avoided in order to protect your own heart. The meditation state is really important. Mars and Neptune conjoining in your 4th house, which is your innermost intimate part of you. It's not you and anyone else. It's just you. It's who you are. It's the soul that you brought into this lifetime, into this incarnation. And you may have carried old karma from other lifetimes, and I do believe that the situation that's being resolved here is karma from old lifetimes. And it's karma that drags you down. It drags you into these places where you give so much, yet you walk away with nothing but sorrow and reflection. It's the end of that cycle and the beginning of something new. The romance cards that I pulled, because Venus is retrograde and Mercury is retrograde, so of course we're always reflecting on things of the past, and relationships are always a big theme. So what you got was the 8 of Pentacles, the 7 of Pentacles, and the 5 of Cups. So 8 of Pentacles is when one partner is disconnected. And it leaves you wondering, what are they doing? What are they thinking? This is a fantastic manipulation process. The Magician in reverse. When somebody doesn't give you the clarity or make you feel safe, and you feel like you have to struggle to get them to love you, to make you a priority, that is the energy of that 8 of Pentacles. And that your needs at this time are for something much softer and much more receptive. 7 of Pentacles, this is more manipulation energy. This is where, again, that theme of where you put so much into relationships and yet they don't grow and they don't go anywhere. And you may be asking yourself, how could I have met this person or these series of people that have come into my life, and I have deeply fallen in love with them, and yet there's feelings of disappointment that I put all of myself into this and it didn't work out. Well, it didn't work out because your partner was not on your equal level, and they were not contributing positive energy the way that you were. And the 5 of Cups is guilt and regret. There's a level of forgiveness, but it's forgiveness of yourself. Forgiveness of how you got yourself into these situations, how you allowed yourself to be hurt over and over. There may be communication from a relationship in the past that really opens your eyes to this entire cycle. Maybe you stumble upon a YouTube reading and it's brought to your attention and you look at it in a different perspective. But somehow, some way, this message is going to come to you in June, and once you know it, once you see it, 8 of Cups, there's no going back. You simply can't return to the person you used to be. You can't operate in relationships at this vibration. You've learned the lesson, and it's on to something new. It's on to someone new. It's on to success, honoring your passion, and demanding that it be returned to you. What a really powerful reading, Sag. Okay, so I'll be checking in weekly as usual once all of these videos are out. And then we will get into, July is going to be intense as well. That Cancer eclipse in your 8th house may be pretty profound as well. So, rest as much as you can in June. I'm telling everybody, take moments to rest. There's going to be a real duality between moments of taking action and moments of kind of going within and withdrawing. And it's all about balancing that energy, giving yourself that time to heal and not pushing things, and yet being really focused on what you want to bring in next. I hope that June is wonderful and full of immense healing and opportunities for you. I'll be seeing you in July. Take care.